Blog Talk Radio. Hi, this is Kathy Sipple with 219 Green Connect, and we are all about connecting people here in Northwest Indiana to businesses, events, and news that are of interest to eco-conscious consumers and businesses. So today I'm very excited that we have local artist Tyna Bianco-Jessen, and she is the owner and founder of Paper Dandelions in Chesterton, Indiana. And Tyna, are you here with me now?
I am. Hello. Thank
Great.
you for having me.
Well, welcome. So very happy to have you on. I just, since the first time I saw your work, I've just been very intrigued and only recently found out that we had a connection, that I used to work with your mother, Tammy Bianco. So that was just another reason I needed to get in touch with you and learn a little bit more. So tell me, I did post a few photos online, so if anybody wanted to take a look at some of the images that we'll be referencing, you can do so at blogtalkradio.com/219 Green Connect. And Tyna, you also have a Facebook page, correct?
I do. I have a Facebook page. You can type in Paper Dandelions, and it will pop up there and give you some more info. And I also have an Etsy page, ETSY, that will give you more info also. Okay.
Would somebody just go to Etsy.com and then search for Paper Dandelion?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
That's it.
So great. Those are some online ways that you can take a look at the beautiful artwork that we'll be referencing. And then locally, your work is also sold at
Save the Dunes Gift Shop in Chesterton, Indiana, the Westchester History Museum Gift Shop. I also have some available at Mothering by Nature. That's in Valparaiso, Indiana. And that's it for right now.
Okay. Well, great. So hopefully if anybody would like to, kind of look along with what we're talking about, that'll give you a couple of options of ways to do it. But I'll try to describe what I see, and Tyna, maybe you can get more into, what we are actually seeing with your artwork. It looks like you recycle a number of different elements, craft them into just beautiful wedding invitations, gift cards, all kinds of things. Can you tell us a little bit about your process and how you got into doing what you do?
Absolutely, yeah. I gather unwanted materials such as junk mail, old office and school paper, shreddings, old newspapers, banana peels, fennel fern, wildflower seed, plant materials to be composted. And once I gather and sort them, I then shred them, and I blend them into a pulp with water. If this is going to be a paper that I'm going to embed with seed, then I go and it turns into a slurry, which I sift against a screen until it forms an even layer. And I sponge it until it's not dripping wet, and I transfer it to a drying rack where it air dries, and once dry, a sheet of paper will have formed. And I take small batches once they dry, and I press them between weights, of books and magazines, and I pretty much just use the air dry method.
How do you make those wonderful sand dollar looking pieces? I mean, I have actually tried to make paper once before, and I just can't even imagine how you form it into such an intricate shape.
Actually, I just would make the white paper with the seeds, and then I have designed a template, and I used an X-Acto knife to cut it all out. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
It's hand cut.
Yeah, they're just beautiful. And, I saw a few photos of images that it looks like you're doing for weddings, and what a neat way for an eco-conscious couple to get started with their nuptials.
Absolutely, yes. There's definitely been an interest there with that, and it's really neat to be able to watch the flowers grow the next season or what have you, because the seed mix I use is a native seed mix that is perennial, so, it'll come back up, and it's neat.
Very, very cool. So how did you first get interested in doing these types of projects?
Well, I've always had an interest in paper making since I was introduced to it in the 5th grade. And I guess I kind of rediscovered it in 2008 and began playing with with different recycled fibers to find what worked best for recycled handmade paper. And I guess I would say it came about partially by just a deep interest in the subject, and then paired with I began to get a little ill in 2009, and it was kind of a healing project to work on this paper. So that's kind of how it came about.
Say a little bit more about that. How did that help you with your healing?
Well, it was therapeutic because it really helped me to realize how much control I had over my own, little world. And I was helping the earth in my own way. And it helped to ground me and keep me busy. And it was something that I really had a passion for. And that helps bring beauty to, back from trash. So it was kind of symbolic in a way, I guess you could say.
Well, I think that's just great. I love stories like that where people transform, materials that would otherwise go into the waste stream and create something that is original, beautiful, and, helps the earth thrive. And it looks like from some of the photos that you posted that you're also getting schools involved. Is that correct?
I have. I've had some local schools that I've contacted who have begun to give me some of their scraps, especially from teachers that use more colored scraps, because I don't use dyes. So the dyes I kind of need to come from paper, and I seem to have much trouble coming by white paper. White paper is pretty easy from households and such, but colored paper, obviously I usually need to get from businesses and schools. And, I've had a few local schools be very helpful in that area. So it's neat. It involves the whole community.
They're very cool, very cool. So what are the plans? Do you have any plans for expansion, or are you trying to keep this more or less a cottage from home type industry?
Well, I'm fairly grounded in the moment of where paper dandelions is, but some days I do ponder if paper dandelions is going to grow and contribute in more significant ways to our flourishing community. It's definitely a daydream I have sometimes, but for right now, it's run from a room in my 900 square foot house.
Wow, very cool, very cool. So is this a family affair in any way? Do other family members get involved?
Well, no, not so much right now. There's an interest, but right now it's pretty much just me. Gotcha.
And tell me a little bit about the name Paper Dandelions. How did that name come about?
Well, I sat on that one for a while, and honestly it just came to me one night when I was trying to fall asleep, and I don't know where it came from, but it was like, that was it. It popped up in my head, and it really just felt like it fit, and I guess I really like how I've always loved dandelions. I just think they're absolutely gorgeous, yet we try to douse them with, chemicals and get them out of here because we've, termed them weeds. And I guess it was somewhat, symbolic again of how we're going to turn these weeds into treasure and something pretty. I don't know. So.
Well, I think there's a great metaphor there, and I think beauty is oftentimes in the eye of the beholder, and it's just another way of looking at the same thing, whether you determine it's a weed or, a piece of art and a piece of, great beauty. So
exactly.
I like that story very much. So do you primarily work on paper products, or are there any other types of work that you also do?
Yeah, it's primarily paper products. The card making, obviously that, and the invites. And I have, played around with playing with sculpturing paper and such, but, that's still just playing around. But, it's primarily just paper products. Just starting to expand a little bit with the invites and meeting with, a few people in that area who are interested in carrying invites and for baby showers and weddings and stuff. So, yeah. Good.
So could you describe, do you have a typical customer at all, or is every situation just a bit different?
Well, every situation's a bit different, and in all honesty, I'm humbled that you're having me on your show, and I'm very grateful because I am still just beginning. I've only just begun this 2 years ago, so. But a lot of the customers are pretty green oriented, obviously, but that's not true for all. Some just really like the look of them and don't even care if they're really plantable or not. So it errs more towards the, eco-conscious person, but not really anything that fits, a certain, I guess, genre, you would say.
Well, I think that that's great. If you can help people get interested because it just is a great-looking product, that's wonderful. And if you can sneak in that eco-conscious behavior behind the scenes,
exactly,
all the better.
Yeah, and one of the things with the invite is with the vellum, which is the thin, clear overlay on the invite. It's, a type of paper. I don't make that myself, but I buy that from a company that does FSC Forest Stewart certified, and chlorine free, Green Seal certified, So I try to, and also with the cardstock, I sometimes, will do reply cards if a couple requests that, or for the envelopes or what have you. I also will buy from a company that is FSC certified, and I try to do 30 to. Obviously, I aim more for the 100% post-consumer waste recycled materials with that vellum and cardstock. That's not always possible, but I aim for the 100%. So.
Great. Well, I can't even begin to imagine how much you've taken out of the waste stream and gotten into, beautiful wedding reception invites, that kind of thing. Now, when you create these pieces, are you sometimes doing them to order, sometimes just doing them on spec?
Yeah, a little bit of both. The sand dollar actually came about from a couple who was having a wedding in Mexico and wanted a beachy theme. And I just kind of came up with that concept of the sand dollar under the paper. So that was, and then I also will make some for, samples. So, yeah, a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm. Is there a favorite project or a favorite, past example that you've made?
Well, I really, really enjoy all of them, honestly. It's a really fun process. I really liked doing an oak leaf that a couple recently had me do, and that's kind of one of the neat things about this is I'm so open to experimenting with new forms and styles, and that sometimes the couple or the person will come to me and already have some ideas in mind, and it kind of helps me to realize what they want. And I did one with an oak leaf for a save the date, and that was really very fun. I really enjoyed that because, trees are pretty close to my heart. So it was neat to be able to do that and have this plantable oak leaf, and there are pictures of that on the 2 websites that we listed, but that was probably one of my more favorite ones to do.
Very cool. Well, when I actually looked at all of the pictures that were on your Facebook page and all the albums, and I just thought they were so whimsical and so fun. They're beautiful, but at the same time, they're just infused with a whimsical type of energy that it just makes you smile. And I think they're just fabulous. So. Well,
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really fun, and it's something neat because I wanted to experience tangibly. It's this concept of, well, we want to turn the massive amounts of waste we have in this day and age into treasure, and it's really neat to be able to, on a smaller scale, witness that. So it's neat.
Well, I know you said that facing an illness kind of brought you into this, but what other elements of becoming green kind of inform your journey toward this care for the environment?
Well, I would say when my son was born in 2004, it really awakened my spiritual center that wanted to understand how our world became so imbalanced with the chaos of oil addiction and materialism and so forth. So I decided to make small changes here and there, that eventually became a way of life, and such as getting more produce from the farmer's market and cloth diapers. And I just felt a deep sense of transformation upon us as I became disenchanted with the system previously I just mentioned. And I just began to focus on ways to make life the healthiest it could be for myself and for others. And that's kind of, I guess, this was a seed of that, or, a sproutling of that seed, I guess you could say. Just kind of realizing that everything is a whole, and that became my new commonplace system, to first examine how everything is interconnected and how that will affect things before I make decisions and choices. And that's kind of how Paper Dandelions came about.
Beautiful. Well, that's beautiful. I think that the gardening metaphor really speaks to me as well. And if I can throw out a new feature that I added to my website, I don't want to intrude on your interview, but I think it's related. I went to a meeting at County Line Orchard on Friday afternoon, and they were doing a forming meeting for the community gardens that they're trying to do a Grow Northwest Indiana challenge for this year. And, to your point about just eating more healthily and lessening our dependence on fossil fuels, supporting local agriculture, they're supporting, I believe it's about 12 different flagship community gardens all around Northwest Indiana, and encouraging people to get out to their free classes. They've got one coming up this Thursday at 4 o'clock, and you can find out all the different places where you can do that, about starting seeds indoors. So even though it's warming up a little bit, it's still not reliably warm enough to plant seeds outside just yet. So you can learn about how to get started. And then they also have a work day coming up on Saturday in all various places. And to your point again, with your son being born, they're really trying to reach out to children. So they've got a number of different boys and girls clubs that are the sites for these flagship community gardens. So you can find that at 219greenconnect.com and go to the events page and find out how you can get involved. So if some of our conversation is awakening your inner gardener or your curiosity about gardening, that might be one tangible way you can get out there and learn if you're in the beginning stages, or maybe give back by teaching a workshop or helping others to get involved. But I think eating and supporting local food is just something that you can decide to do a couple times a day. It's not as if you're building a new green home or taking a step that you can't repeat frequently. So I love that when people just pay attention more to where the food comes from and how to get involved. So there was a long rant.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. Just merely being conscious of it helps change it right there, just by, being conscious of that. So, yeah. That's really neat.
What part, how involved do you get in your food production? Are you a gardener as well, or do you just try to support the farmer's market?
I am a gardener, and I do support the farmer's market also. I am a gardener, and I have to say the last 2 years I have not had the most bountiful produce, but darn it, I keep trying. But yeah, I do. I'm a home gardener. I have an 11 foot by 22 plot here at our house. We live in the town of Chesterton, and I like to grow quite a variety of things, from sunflowers to fennel to some heirloom veggies and stuff like that. But yeah, I really enjoy the process of it.
Great.
And I'm really hoping for a good bountiful season this year.
Good. Well, I wish you all good things with your gardening efforts. I'm always trying to tweak things up myself. I sort of experimented with small space gardening last year and did more with vertical gardening, which was fun. Got into worm composting last year too, and that's become a little bit of an obsession for me. So not sure if you're into that, but if you'd like to get started, I could probably hook you up with a little starter batch.
Very neat.
Yeah, it definitely, since you're somebody who looks at taking things out of the waste stream, I'm not an artist, so I'm a composter. That's my contribution.
Exactly. Hey, I think we're all artists in some way or another, right?
Yeah, I'm a soil artist, I guess you could say. But, I think once you begin to look at, what are we consuming, what are we digesting, you start to look at every aspect of it, not only the, dependence on fossil fuel and supporting local agriculture, but just what nutrients are in the soil. How can I build the soil? How can I get good seeds that are non-GMO seeds? You mentioned the heirloom tomatoes. Mm-hmm. Do you have a good source for heirloom seeds that you want to share?
Well, I do love Chesterton Feed and Garden in Chesterton. They're one of my favorites, and they have a few. They do carry a few things like that. And I also like Fedco, which has a catalog and is a online store also, FEDCO, and they have quite an abundance of heirloom and non-GMO, well, to the best of their knowledge, non-GMO seeds, which is getting harder and harder to, guarantee nowadays. But
right,
yeah.
Right. Good. Well, I just like to, kind of find out. I met you because you're, an artist and you do this great work with the recycled paper. But it seems like people's interest in the environment often creeps into other areas. So I'm just always curious about how people got started, what they're actively into now, and, even maybe what areas of life you'd like to further green.
Yes, absolutely. It's really exciting. And to have this paper that's just, plantable and can, just grow these little gardens and stuff, it's a really neat process. And I don't know if I mentioned yet a few of the seeds that this native wildflower mix carries. Do you mind if I do that really
Not
quick?
at all. I wish you would.
Okay, so it's one of the recent mixes I've been using is a Bee Rescue Wildflower Mix, and a few examples are forget-me-not, poppies, baby blue eyes, purple coneflower, aspen daisies. There's a good, 5 or so more, but it's a really nice mix, and it's a fairly fine seed. So sometimes you can hardly even see it in the paper. Other times it depends, because there's kind of 2 layers of the seeds that I get when I put it in the paper. So, but yeah, they're really beautiful, and that's an example of some of the flowers in the paper.
So those are all seeds that would be native to Northwest Indiana?
Midwest, actually,
Midwest.
Though. Yeah, the Midwest. And that's a good point. And also, I can and have taken requests if people live out of state or what have you and would like seed from that area to be in the paper. So that's absolutely, something I can do. I just can't do out of the United States because due to U.S. customs laws.
Gotcha. If you're just joining us, my guest today is Tyna Bianco-Jessen, and she's a local artist, a paper artist from Chesterton, Indiana, and is the owner of Paper Dandelions. She makes beautiful recycled paper gift cards, gift tags, invitations for weddings, birthdays, birth announcements, all kinds of things. And her information is available on her Facebook page. If you go to Facebook and search for Paper Dandelions, you can find it. She's also got a store on Etsy, etsy.com, so you can find her products there. And they're also available at the Save the Dunes gift shop. Is it Mothering by Nature? Is that the correct name of the store in Valparaiso?
Mothering by Nature, correct.
Mothering by Nature,
yeah.
Okay. And then also you said that, what is the other place in Chesterton? Is that the historic
The Westchester
Museum?
History Museum. Mm-hmm.
Great,
correct.
great. So
the gift shop, yeah.
You can check out any of those 3 brick-and-mortar gift shops around the region. Tell them you heard about this on 219 Green Connect, so they'll know that we're putting out the good word. And if that's not convenient for you, if you happen to be listening from out of the area, you can do so on her Etsy store. So we wish you just great success in furthering your art, Tyna. And is there anything else you'd like to share? Just maybe ideas you're interested in exploring, events, or other suggestions you have for people who want to live more lightly on the earth?
Well, I just wanted to thank you so much for having me on here and giving me the opportunity to talk about this. And I think anyone that might have an interest in it, and come check it out online. And there's a lot of exciting things we can do with this paper. That's the neat thing about it. So what you see is definitely not the end of it. And, explore your curiosity with it.
Good. Well, I appreciate that. I really do. And I appreciate, the local artists that make our place, our region, a more beautiful place to live, and just the ideas that people are sharing and transforming our space into one that's just deeper connection to the earth. I think that's a really exciting trend and one I definitely want to support. So it's a mutual admiration society.
It is. It's really an exciting day and age we live in. It really is. It's neat.
Yeah, it sure is. And if I can give out do a little shout out too for a monthly event that I organize. It's called Green Drinks, and it's a local meetup that we hold each month in Valparaiso. generally on the third Monday of each month. This month it'll be next Monday, a week from today, March 19th, and it will be held at the Porter County Administration Building in downtown Valparaiso in the Chambers area, and it's going to feature two high school debate teams, Valparaiso versus Chesterton, and they'll be talking about the XL pipeline. One side will be pro, the other side will be against. So it's an environmental debate from our two local high schools. And I think that'll be very interesting. Generally, we don't have themes that are targeted to the younger audience, and this will be a great way to kind of share and take it multi-generational. So we'll be doing that at 7 p.m., and then immediately following there will be a pizza party at Greek's Pizzeria in Valparaiso and a question and answer session. So that'll be kind of neat. But you can also find information on that at 219greenconnect.com under the events tab, or you can also follow Green Drinks on Facebook. So if you go to facebook.com/NWI Green Drinks, you can find out about that. So that's just one brick and mortar place that we've got to touch base every week, and generally it attracts all kinds of different people: ecopreneurs, environmentalists. We've got environmental attorneys, just all different types of people that have an interest in protecting the earth and exploring some new ideas on how to do that. So, well, Tyna, we really appreciate it. And again, let's just give one more plug for your website and how to find you. We've been speaking with Tyna Bianco-Jessen of Chesterton. She is the owner of Paper Dandelions, and you can find her on Facebook, on Etsy, and just go to either of those sites and look for Paper Dandelions. Anything else that we? Yeah. Do you want to give an email or anything like that? Or
sure. Yeah. And also a contact for me is my email is green.girl.81@hotmail.com. I thank you so much, Kathy, for
you're very
this was
welcome.
really, really fun.
So I hope maybe somebody is listening today that's planning a wedding or planning a party, and they just say, I'd like to step it up a notch. I'd like to do my part to take care of the earth, and I'm going to check out Paper Dandelions to do my invitations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if anybody does do that, I would really love to hear from them too. So you can email me if you think this is a valuable program. My contact information is Kathy@219greenconnect.com. And you can also give me a call at 219-462-0600. If you've got an idea for a show, or perhaps you'd like to be featured on the show, we do 30-minute segments at not a very regular schedule at this point, but I'm interested in hearing from people all around the Northwest Indiana area that are either environmentalists, gardeners, ecopreneurs, anything really that's related to how to do better with this earth that we have. So thank you once again, Tyna, and let's stay in touch.
Sounds great, Kathy. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.